proposing changing, that the base pay increase would go to our EGPQ student services. However, employees who would be at the top of their scale on A and B would still get the $2,000 and the one-time $1,500 payment. Even if we were to add $500 to the base of the A and the B schedules, those employees would stand to make significantly more on the instructional EGPQ. I think in the range of maybe $5,000 to $6,000.
$4,000 to $9,000.
Okay, so by moving, now, I know there's some misconception for those folks. If those employees were to move, if they have a continuing or professional service contract, by moving to one of these newer scales, would they lose that contract?
As far as their tenure?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would not be giving up their tenure or their continuing contract
Right.
and become an annual contract.
No.
Okay.
No,
I
they-
just want, it's not a
Yeah.
trick question, it's just
Okay,
to
I'm
be
like-
very, very clear, because that is, I think, the
The
misconception,
misconception,
that if I
agreed.
move, I'm giving that up.
Right.
And I believe for many, many years that has been clear, but I just wanted it to be very clear and on the record in this meeting that by moving to that scale,
Correct.
there is no way that they will be losing that. All they stand to gain is between $4,000 to $9,000 more.
Correct.
Base pay.
Correct.
So that is why we are not proposing, yes. Yeah. I
Thank you for
just,
saying
I
that.
wanted to
Yes,
be very, very
yes.
clear that this is why HCCA is being very open about why we're not putting that money there, because we've negotiated a lot of money on these other scales, and we
Correct.
want those folks to get that.
We would love for them to get that, and we have been trying to advocate and reaching out to them and
Yeah.
speaking one-on-one, just trying to coach them there.
Yeah,
Some people don't like change, but
I understand.
it's significant.
Yeah, and we
that-
have too. I think our staff
You
and
have.
folks have
You've
made
partnered
those
with them.
calls as well.
Yeah.
But I just think it was just really important that here in this space,
Yep.
on the record, this is not a secret or a gotcha. You will not lose your tenure or your contract by moving and earning more money.
Correct.
So that's our instructional proposal.
All right.
Hopefully it's, there's enough there to kind of work with, and I think, like I said, I think where we're at is just kind of working the finer details.
Agreed.
And if there's anything in there, I know there were some things that were kind of brought from past, just to kind of get a final say of where we're at there.
Understood.
All right. We'll go ahead and move into our, education support professionals. Now, where we left it last time, we had brought 2 steps. We know the board wasn't quite comfortable there. We wanted to take some more time and review what we could do there, which we will present today. But I also wanted to present kind of in some of the lingering contract language that hopefully we can sort out today.
Okay.
So,
All right. I think that's enough.
yeah, if we need more, I got 2.
2, 3, 4. We got 1 toward this one.
Good.
1, 2. Nope, we're good.
And if you need action, let me know. All right, so same thing with our ESP proposal here, revised July 1, 2024. All right. The first page here is what we had kind of reviewed last time. This is 6.1.4, where we're striking 23-24 and updating it to 24-25 school year for our highly qualified eligible ESPs as defined by state and federal statute who provide instructional support in Renaissance schools. Shall be paid the salary differential. So this is just updating the dates there. I believe we had agreed in concept, but it's there, hopefully this. All right, the next page is 6.2.1 and 6.2.2. This is the language on the comp time. And I think based on our discussion, we kind of got it here, but again, if we need to tweak anything, this will be our time to do that. So what we're proposing here is new language as we presented last time. After completion of the work, the number of hours earned shall be recorded on a form to be maintained at each work site. And again, this is for overtime compensation. So this is specifically work that's been done before or after or beyond the contractual workday, right? It's not work within the workday. With the exception of comp time earned after June 1st of each year, accumulated unused comp time must be utilized prior to the end of the fiscal year, June 30. Time not utilized shall be paid to the employee at the end of the fiscal year in which it was earned in accordance with the Fair Labor Standards Act. Hours worked shall be calculated to the nearest 1/10, 6 minutes of an hour for determining hours worked for pay or comp time purposes. And again, a lot of this language is just mirroring HSCF language. We also, based on our discussion, have this language here about any previously earned, because this would go into effect July 1. Documented and approved comp time, compensatory time accumulated prior to July 1, 2024 shall not be eligible for payout. However, employees shall retain this time and may utilize it in lieu of sick or personal leave. So we just want to keep that comp time on the books. It's not being wiped away. They can still use it as comp, but also a way to kind of use it in lieu of their sick or personal. In the 6.2.2, we were proposing that we just clarify that this is paraprofessional unit employees, not just paras, it's our aide, some of our other folks. So in cases where paraprofessional unit employees, we had proposed including registered nurses, but we did put some notes here about what Mr. Gibson has shared with us. We know that the fact sheet is not, it's not explicit, it's permissive. So we know in our last meeting that the board wanted to review including them, and so hopefully you've got some answers to that. But that's what we're proposing there. And then by clarifying that comp time is paid out specifically for hours worked beyond the workday, their board had the proposed language of striking the paraprofessionals assigned to absorb students, paraprofessionals who assign teacher absorb students from an absent teacher's class will be granted time for up to 3 hours. Since comp time for pay is not time earned in the middle of the day, this wouldn't be eligible. But I did want to just clarify here that this does not, by striking this, it does not impact section 7.7.1, when a para acts as a substitute, right? So if a substitute due to, someone being absent and now the classes are getting absorbed, the para actually has to be pulled to cover, they will get paid in that situation.
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to be clear on that.
And they get the $10 more per hour than their normal hourly rate.
Right, which is in 7.7. Just wanted to be clear.
Clarify it, yep.
All right, and then again, we're mirroring the language here that was just basically read for the clerical, after completion of the work on the form. I'm not gonna read through it all, because but you all can kind of review it to make sure I didn't make any typos.
Okay.
All right, on page 22, it didn't get printed in color, but if you look closely in 9.3.3, what we're proposing here is just striking clericals and have it be employees. So sorry, I didn't show.
That's okay.
All right. And then on the next page, I know the board had said no to the annual payment of accumulated sick leave. Hopefully we can revisit that in the future in accordance with the statute. But we do want to look at 18.2.2, because this has to do with voluntary activities, and then specifically the annual open house that is voluntary. And what we're working on is this last sentence. Therefore, ESP employees who attended open house at the request of their supervisor will be granted comp time. So we're striking just the 2 hours, because what we're proposing here is the comp time for the actual hours worked. So for hours worked beyond the workday to be used or paid in accordance with 6.2. So if they earn this comp time, if they don't use it, then it would be paid in accordance with the language that we're proposing in the previous section. All right. Okay, 19.5. We're trying to build some more provisions for our nurses. Last year we made some gains about their equipment that would be maintained. This year we have proposed some language about payment for uniforms and training payment for in-service, which we've had some discussions with our ESPs. We've got language in ESP contracts regarding professional development, and what Regina and I and others have talked about is really trying to, I guess, invoke that committee that we worked last year on, to bring that committee together to look at professional development, to maybe identify some of these programs that maybe there are some that could be paid, and then that committee can do that work to bring those proposals to this table. So that's in regard to 19.5.3, where we know the board said no to any in-service training. When it comes to uniforms, what we're countering here, instead of the pay, if a professional uniform shirt could be provided to nurses at the start of each school year. We know that student nutrition, some of our HSCF folks get a Hillsborough County Public School polo. So our counter here is, our nurses could get a shirt.
Question for you on that,
Yep.
because our employees in our HSEF bargaining unit that we do provide uniforms for, it's mandated that they wear those uniforms. Is that what you're
No,
proposing?
we're not proposing here,
Okay.
but because
Okay,
we're looking for, they can wear scrubs or.
I'm looking at you, Carol Butts.
No.
All
It
right,
was
so
just a
understood.
counter to see if, did they get a shirt?
Okay, understood.
I wasn't there in the language.
Just making sure I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. All right. Article, this is the grievance procedure.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it with you. I don't,
We did
unless,
it, right?
well, we did it for the instructional contract. So what I did here
Oh.
was just the minor changes that we did for the instructional. We
Okay.
proposed it here for the ESP.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna read through it all because it really is what we read on the record before. So I'm gonna leave it with you all to look
Okay.
through, and if there's anything that, and I did send you all this document, so if there's
Yep.
anything that we need to tweak. But I tried to go through exactly what we TA'd in the instructional contract and mirror it here. There's nothing else
Okay,
that we're adding here to try to get that we didn't get on the other one.
got it.
So that would be all the way through,
Page 67.
yeah, 56 actually.
Oh, sorry. The next page is 67. That's
Oh, yeah.
right.
I don't know why.
Oh, probably the real page in here.
52.
Are you using the real, you might be
Oh,
using
yeah,
the real
67, yeah.
numbers. Yeah.
This is, in our contract right now, we have the instructional support one-time payment. I think last year when we just took it from the salary schedule book,
Mhm.
we accidentally included some folks that,
Yep.
these are supplements that aren't our unit.
Right, yeah, we have these in our overall book
Yes.
because it has all
Yep.
employees, but correct, that is
Yeah.
for principal secretaries ultimately.
Yeah, we know that we have bookkeepers in our unit, but they're not elementary. And then also the equipment mechanic, those are not our folks.
Okay,
So that's just the cleaning up.
got it.
Then we have the grievance form here. Again, it's just mirrored. I put at the top ESP just so you can look over that.
Just for when I noticed this, your date typo, just
Oh, yeah.
for when you put it out. If we come to an agreement,
Yeah, we'll just scribble out that 6. Today's the 25th at the top.
got it.
I'll fix on. But look over that and see if there are anything we missed.
Perfect.
All right, so now we're gonna get into the compensation. I'm sharing here a sheet that I worked on over the weekend to kind of analyze our unit. And again, we don't get the minute by minute, hour by hour update of unit employees. And to try to just make sure that we're comparing the same, we use the data I have that shows our unit employees, which were, for this basis of this calculation, was 3,656 employees. And those are clerical and para, all different pay grades, different days and hours, all those sorts of things. The way I calculated it is that the current approximate cost for the para and the clerical pay is 125,931,980. And the cost of one step would be 2,035,091. Moving approximately 210 nurses at the time that I counted, there may be less, there may be more. With just that regrade would cost, with one step, a regrade would cost $495,965.
And this is all on our current
This is,
salary schedule?
yes, so not changing the salary schedule, it's just what they're making currently with one step movement.
Got it.
I did also go through all the job codes for the ESPs that are serving in the ESE that we proposed for a regrade. That would cost approximately $1,074,069. I costed out the longevity, which for our ESPs is approximately 98 employees, 239,355. Again, because we're wanting this to be taxed as a supplement and eligible for FRS, we went ahead and just added fringe in there on whatever, on the $2,000. The cost of the $2,500 one-time payment to approximately 3,656 employees, 11,161,768 for an estimated total of just over $15 million.
Okay.
Last time we had proposed a 2-step movement. So I just, in this concept of the same proposal, but with 2 steps, I costed that out. 2 steps would be an additional 3.9 million, or an additional $1,919,058 from the 1 step. it would be an additional $23,253 for the nurses regrading, an additional $19,473 for the regrading of the ESE, ESPs, with the same amount for the longevity and the one-time payment, for an estimated total of $16,968,032. So the two steps from one step, the top payment, the top proposal to the bottom would be an additional $1.9 million.
Okay.
But we understood that the board came back and said we can't quite do two steps. So the next page is gonna walk us through our proposal.
Okay.
All right. Yes. Okay. All right, number one. Effective July 1, 2024, eligible employees in the ESP bargaining units shall advance one level on their respective pay grade in the instructional support salary schedule accordingly. Eligible employees must have worked half plus a day and have an effective evaluation for the 23-24 school year. Number two, this should say 2025, but effective January 1, 2025, eligible employees in the ESP bargaining unit shall advance one level on their respective pay grade on the instructional support salary schedule accordingly. And eligible employees must have worked half plus a day and have an effective evaluation for the 23-24 school year. What we're proposing here is still two steps, but that the second step would come January 1 without retro. So they would move one step July 1, and then the second step would come later in the year, essentially cutting out that first semester cost of a step. Number three, effective July 1, 2024, eligible employees at the top of their respective pay grade, level 24, shall receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000 as a supplement to employee base pay to be FRS pensionable. This payment will be made no later than the end of the first semester. Eligible employees must have worked half plus a day and have an effective evaluation for the 23-24 school year. Number four, all ESP employees shall receive a $2,500 supplement for the 24-25 school year. One payment of $1,500 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the first semester, which is August 9th. And one payment of $1,000 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the second semester, which we looked at, that was January 10th. And we're trying to target that date where our ESPs that do not have equalized pay, who have a very short, sometimes negative paycheck from the non-paid holidays, that it would show up in that check for them. Should these pay dates have to change, HCTA and HCPS will reconvene to determine the dates of payment. This payment is a supplement to employee-based pay. Eligible employees must be current active employees at the time of payment. And then number five is the regrading of the ESP, ESE employees. So effective July 1, 2024, eligible ESE, ESP employees, and we've attached the job codes, shall advance one level on their respective schedule and be regraded one pay grade. Number six, effective July 1, 2024, registered nurses shall advance one step on their respective salary schedule and be regraded from pay grade 33 to pay grade 34. And effective July 1, 2024, licensed practical nurses shall advance one step on their respective salary schedule and be regraded from pay grade 25 to 26. And again, the number two would impact all employees. So while we're regrading these folks July 1, once they've been regraded, if we agree to the second step in January 1, they would also be eligible for that. Number eight, the board agrees to pay the full cost of employee-only health insurance premium for a designated health plan offered by the board for, this should be instructional support employees. Copy and paste in accordance with 24.1.1. And then number nine, the board will pay the cost of fingerprint monitoring fees for instructional support unit employees in accordance with 24.6.1.
Are those the numbers for theirs, you think?
I believe it is.
Okay.
You can double check. And then, of course, here are all the job titles and codes that the boards have proposed. So in summary, that is our economic proposal for the ESP. We're looking for a way to kind of split the difference there on the two steps. I think that I missed one.
Date.
Yeah, the January.
Oh, this
Yeah.
last,
July.
on this last year.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Yeah, yeah,
2024.
yeah.
That's a typo.
That's why I need you all to
No,
double
that's
check and make
That's
sure.
why we all have many eyes on it. Somebody will get.
All right.
Okay.
So that is, I think, everything that's kind of left, and
Yeah.
hopefully we've got the rest of the day to hash this out and hopefully reach an agreement.
That would be amazing.
All right,
So,
so I'm gonna leave it to you for how much time you need.
okay, on our side, is there any questions as far as, okay,
All right,
um,
it's 2:55, it's 3 o'clock right now. How much is up to you all?
start with 45 minutes?
Sure. And if you need anything printed.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah, 45 minutes. So
Kind
we'll
of
come back at 3:45.
Yep, that'd be good.
And if you need anything printed or anything, there is a printer down there that you can run copies, but
Okay,
I
I'll
can
let you
even,
know.
I can even actually. I'll make this up for you.
okay. All right. So we have a few little edits that we wanted to see if you could change to yours. Wait, okay, hold on, let me find my right packet. Okay. All right, so looking at, I guess we just have to go through it. I don't know any
Yeah,
other
I
way to
think
do it.
there's not a lot, but I just think it's like, let's just
Okay.
check it off what we're gonna do or
Okay.
not. Or,
Do you want to check off the things that we want to TA and then you and I TA it
Sure.
after, or do you want to?
TA that?
We can TA
Okay,
that.
We can TA
Yeah.
that.
All right, so just so everybody doesn't have to sit and,
Yeah,
all right, so page one, obviously, revised July 1st, 2024. We're gonna TA that. Page 60,
yes,
18.1.3.
yes.
We're not in a position to TA that at this point, but we do want to explore, what you brought up because this has a lot of implications. You know,
Okay.
a lot of those programs are, pay, you know, like the students pay, they're
Okay.
fee-based.
Right.
So we want to explore that and we need to engage those departments and their budgets and all those things, but we do want to explore it and we do recognize that based on our new salary schedule that we just have tentatively talked about, that new starting teacher pay is moving up to $30 an
right.
hour. So we do want to explore that, but
Okay,
not as part of the contract. Does that
okay.
make sense?
Or maybe, yeah, maybe we can, yeah, we'll continue to talk about that if
Yeah.
that means we need to include it in our economic agreement each year, or, because I think what I was asking too is, are these folks, are they making the 27 an hour?
Not even
Okay,
sure.
Okay. So,
I know that our
I
part-time
believe-
instructors that do that work,
right,
because we have a lot of instructors that's all they do. They
Right.
only are part-time. They're not in your bargaining unit because they're part-time. And our understanding is that it's $27 an hour, and I believe
yeah,
that your employees are as well, but we have to drill down on a few that teach
Yep.
during the day as well as at night.
yeah, and that's who
Okay.
we're looking at, right? Our bargaining unit employees who do that work,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that response, though.
Page 64, we are not in a position to put this in the additional supplements in the contract
Okay,
for the 24-25 year. So, so we would not be including them in appendix C. We would like to just include them in the economic agreement.
is there any, like thought or appetite or desire by the board, at least on the ESE retention supplement, to eventually have that be part of like a standing supplement? And maybe not right now at this moment.
Not right now. We've
Has there
talked
been
about it a
discussion?
couple different, we have been discussing that, not just as a supplement, but does it need to be a different salary schedule, like those
Okay.
kind of things. So yes, we are open to that idea. And it is something that we've engaged around as well.
Okay.
Mhm. All right. Page 91, we are okay with TAing the advanced degree supplement language.
Okay.
Page 91, the yearbook, the elementary sponsor, we're not in a position to TA this and put it in the contract.
Okay,
Our understanding from some principals is some principals funds allowed, if funds allowed, if they have an elementary teacher doing it,
okay.
do use internal funds. But for us, right now, we just can't put it in the contract.
Would there be any way to say, yearbook sponsor supplement for elementary worksite shall be paid if worksite funds are available?
We're not comfortable doing that at this time. All right, and then this page, we would want it to stay as is, so
Okay.
taking out the one-time additional payments. Same thing with the, sorry, job codes for the ESC additional payment. Okay. All right, I have to read my own writing.
Okay.
So do you have yours up so that we can, well, you'll want to talk about it in caucus.
Yeah,
but-
What I
okay.
was gonna try to do is just have it ready, so let's go through. 'cause
Okay.
I'm hoping there's some clarity on certain items that we've talked about here as it relates to the taxing of one-time payments and the eligibility for FRS. Those are some of those things that we've talked a lot here at the table about
Yeah.
being really important. Because that's the risk of the one-time payment, right? That
Understood.
it's tax higher, all these things. So hopefully we can,
No, understood.
Figure
And
that.
that's why some of the changes that we're proposing is to have consistent language for those one-time payments.
perfect.
So what we are proposing is instead of using the word supplement, and we consulted with Stephanie Heaton, who's the general manager. She's got a long title, accounts payable and payroll, you know Stephanie.
Yes.
So that we are proposing that we use the term one-time additional payment. And I'll read through it as we go. And then not to put, even though the top step payment is FRS pensionable, we're always gonna follow the guidelines, right? We're gonna follow the FRS guidelines as well as the tax code. So that's why she advised on what would be best as far as the supplements.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go through
Okay.
just one at a time,
All right.
okay? Number one, we are okay as is. So effective July 1, all instructional salary schedules agreed upon shall be updated and included in Appendix A. Number two, employees in the instructional bargaining unit credited with 1 year of experience and advance one step, leave this as is, just with the correction to the typo.
23, 24.
Correct. Number three, we want to leave it all as is, but strike to be FRS pensionable.
So we would leave it as a supplement or do we
Oh,
do
no,
this?
you found one, thank you. As a one-time top step payment, oh yeah, as a supplement to employee-based pay, that part's okay.
Okay, so that's all good. We would just
Yeah.
have a period there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Number four, instead of the word supplement, so a $1,500 one-time additional payment for the 24-25 school year. No, that's good.
Okay. Because what I can try to do is
So I figured you have the
retype
printers.
this and we can print it. I brought the printer today because I'm hoping we can get it done. All right.
And then everything else is good there. Now, we did talk about, how you had brought up the idea of employees that are hired after, this payment. And we do want to explore, and obviously we'll engage you around that conversation, whether we want to do something, once we settle all of our units and we see where we land with everything, whether we want to explore, signing, a supplement at signing, which
Okay.
is not technically your bargaining unit until we hire them. But we would want to look at maybe doing that. And one thing that we do want to stress is that we would never make that more than what we're giving for the one-time
Yeah.
supplement as a retention,
Yeah.
right? We wouldn't do a recruitment more than the retention.
Right, and I think it's a tricky one, because, right, they're not in our unit until they're
Yeah.
hired, but when they're hired,
Yeah.
and they would be getting
They're
that
yours.
payment, then they are, so that's where
Correct.
it is kind
Yeah.
of that balance.
We
of-
want to engage in it and
Yeah.
work with you on that, but that's
Okay.
something we want to explore because we all are, we all have the same goal as far as filling our vacancies and, hiring, the best talent out there. So,
And then let me ask, I know we're putting in, a $1,500 one-time additional payment for the 24-25 school year. Is it okay to also still leave this payment as a supplement to the employee-based pay? Okay,
yeah, we were
Okay.
good with that
Okay.
language. We just want to call them an
Yes.
actual one-time additional payment.
okay. And this, just to be clear, the reason we're doing this is to keep it out of the category of a bonus.
Correct.
That isn't taxed.
Correct.
And considered differently.
Yes,
Okay.
it will be taxed at someone's W-4 rate.
Perfect.
And some people that's more than
Yeah.
the bonus rate and some,
Sure.
it's different, it depends on.
Got it. Thank you.
Number 5,
Mhm.
everything looks good, but again, we want to change it to $750 additional payment. I think it already said one time on the front end.
Yeah.
Yeah, one time $750 additional payment.
Okay,
All right, number 6. Again, same thing. So the will be paid a one-time $1,000 additional payment.
Got it. And it's the 23-24.
And that is 23-24 school year. And just to also be, I'm just completely clear on those. We don't think it'll be at the end of the first semester. Our goal is to implement, as soon as we can get things moving, like
Okay,
salary increases. And when we do salary increases, that is our traditional time to also do the top step payment, as well as we'll do the student services,
Yeah.
$1,000,
Okay.
because that's all related to the step movement.
yeah, and I know the goal of if we're able to settle this and today and ratify, in the next like week or so, that employees will be coming, their first paycheck will already have it implemented. Is that the goal?
That is the goal.
Okay.
Yes, that's a lot of work.
I know.
I mean, that's,
But I think that's good that we'll
Yeah.
continue to be in communication so we can communicate that out.
yes, so
Okay.
that is the goal.
Got it.
That is our target. The challenge, just so that
Yeah.
everybody knows what the challenge
Yeah.
is behind the scenes.
Mhm.
When you do the salary increases, you actually have to freeze movement.
Yeah.
Well, that's at a key time of year when we're still hiring, obviously, right? That's gonna be right before the school's starting. So we've already been talking about when we can do it, what the timeline can be, but that is our target date. And if we can't hit that target date, then we'll communicate that
Okay.
with you. And we expect that it would be that target date or soon thereafter.
Okay.
All right, number 7, eligible SLPs who hold, you see typo right there.
Yes.
Okay. And then the second line shall be paid a one-time additional payment of $1,500. And then taking out, the last line, this supplement shall be included in Appendix C.
Okay.
Next page. Number 8. A one-time, we were kind of trying to word this because it was a little bit wonky, a one-time ESE retention additional payment or a one-time, a one-time ESE retention additional payment or a one-time additional payment for ESE retention.
So let's
I think that's
do
it.
a
Yeah,
one-time-
help me out. You're the English teacher, I'm the
Yeah, that's
math
what I
teacher, so. And
Okay, so I
then,
got a one-time additional payment for ESE retention of 1,500.
yes.
Okay.
And then taking out the supplement shall be included in Appendix C.
Okay,
All right, number 9. A one-time $1,000 additional payment. Then we'd like to change our language to professional learning department, so that's what they're called now.
so instead of professional development,
Yeah,
it would be professional learning.
Yes, that was statutory.
Okay.
Make sure. Did we say when this one was? Hold on. Okay,
I think this one is
this
after
one's
they.
when they do it.
yeah,
Submission.
And then we take out the Appendix C piece.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 10, in accordance with section 22.4.8, National Board Certified Teachers shall be paid a one-time $4,500 additional payment for those who teach in Renaissance or Transformation to be paid no later than the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. I don't know that they do that at the first semester. I just want to give us time. See, it says, I think you cut and pasted maybe.
Okay, okay. In
Yeah.
accordance with section 22.4.8, National Board Certified Teachers shall be paid a one-time $4,500 additional payment
Mhm.
for those who teach in Renaissance schools or Transformation Network schools to be paid no
Go
later
later, because I'm not
than the
100%.
end of the first semester.
We want to put the end of the school year because we don't know when. Anyone in here that received it?
25 school year. We
No.
believe that's
If-
what they
if-
do.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so
you
that
know,
way it gives us
paid
that
no later than the
flexibility.
end of the 24-25 school year.
Correct. And we had it for another one. I think the consistent language is to be paid no later than the conclusion of the 24-25 school year. The other ones that we have that are at the end, I'll say it that way.
Okay.
All right, and then 11, 12, 13, 14 as is.
But number 10, you.
Is that the one we just did? Oh, yeah, take that. Thank you. Yep, I already had it.
And then
crossed out.
11 is good, and 12, 13, and 14.
Correct.
Alright.
All right,
Alright, so, I'll type this up and then we can sign it.
Okay. Okay. And then on this, even though we're not including it in the contract, we think it's important to leave it in the
Yes.
material so people know who is eligible. And
Yeah,
the job code for school psychologists is 10331.
okay, yeah. Yeah, I think this is. Oh, yeah, at the top.
Yeah, at the top, if we can word it the same way we did it in the language, the ESC
The eligible job coach for the ESC,
retention additional payment.
for the, okay, for the additional.
Eligible job
payment.
code for additional payment for ESE retention,
Yeah,
right?
for ESC retention. Get it
For
right.
24.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the salary schedules,
Mhm.
like I mentioned to you, like I went through, I'm trying to go through, but we do send them to the auditor. So in concept, we agree
Okay.
to what we're doing.
Are we willing to just TA them and then we can put a note?
Yes.
You know,
A note that we'll have the auditor always looks at it to make
Yeah.
sure that,
Because I think
There's not
sometimes
some
the hour, like, this part is all, like, if this is all correct and the actual, like, the total salary is
Right.
correct, these hourly rates, I know, if we
Correct.
miss a decimal or something.
correct. So the
Okay.
auditors are great at taking it and they go through each line by line and they'll let us know. And I know we've had that happen in the past, so we said, oh,
Yeah.
this cell had the wrong
Yeah, we
penny.
know we know that it's 48.5, but we
Correct.
kind of messed up on,
Correct, because we don't know how many decimal places it goes out, all those things. So, yeah,
okay, so we'll TA these and then put a note, like a star,
perfect.
we'll confirm with the auditor.
It's the auditor.
If
Yeah.
I would just say,
We'll just say,
finance,
we'll confirm with audit.
finance and.
Yeah,
and,
With finance and auditor. There's some, we have a district auditor.
And auditing.
Okay. So. Let's go language. Fantastic.
The ESP.
ESP, correct. All right, so we, the front page,
Mhm.
yep, good there. Page 16, we had already discussed, so we're good there. All right, the comp time language that you had countered with, and then including our documented and approved comp time, we are good with this language here.
6.2.1.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. And then 6.2.2, we are good with the unit employees part, the
Okay.
title.
Okay.
Okay. We are good with unit employees,
Okay.
and then let's talk about the nurses.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what. This is a bigger topic than,
Okay.
and I know it doesn't matter as far as, you're looking at the nurses because they're in your bargaining unit. But as I believe you're usually up to date on everything, this language, like the codes have changed and the statutes have changed as far as the thresholds for when overtime pay is paid, right? For time and a half. So, and I can share that language with you if you don't have it, but basically we're gonna follow the law, right? And even if an employee is exempt, but they make less money than the threshold,
Mhm.
then starting July 1, I believe the threshold July 1, and don't hold me to the exact dollars, is approximately 43,000.
Yeah.
Does
I know
someone have it?
We recently talked about that.
Yes.
I think it's 40, and then in January.
It goes to
jumps-
50 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we would like to not, registered nurses are exempt.
Okay.
But obviously, we're gonna follow the law. And if they do overtime work and they fall below that threshold, then we will be compensating those employees at time and a half.
Okay.
If they are above that threshold, then they are exempt employees and they would be getting straight time for any additional work done.
Even as hourly employees. Because I thought the new law on the threshold was exempt, now included salaried employees.
We have Jeff Gibson on the phone, or no, on the thing.
He's on
We can
Zoom.
consult with him. But because this is a new thing this year, that's why we don't want to change this right now.
Okay.
But I think it's a bigger organizational thing that we have to look at, because we are gonna have employees that are exempt that now will be eligible for time and a half if they fall under that threshold.
Do we know? And this is, I can't do the math quickly in my head, but those RN nurses,
Mhm.
do we believe that they're they will fall under that threshold?
It'll depend where they are. Yep. And obviously, when it goes to 50-some thousand, it's gonna be even more of them. So I think that's something we really have to explore.
Okay.
Because we
One thing
have,
we were talking about is that, we're talking about with these registered nurses, that it's like 6 of them that are kind of doing this additional work for hosts where they would be eligible. So I think one thing we've talked about doing is trying to just really dig in on that data that, I
okay,
mean,
You believe it's only
like
6 of
Carol and I
them?
were talking, well, I think it's about 6 that do the, 5 or 6 that
5.
do the host. But I mean, what she was talking about, a great example of, here a registered nurse is right next to an LPN, another employee, they're doing that same work additional. These folks would get overtime that the RN wouldn't. So I think that's where this is coming from, like, even though the Fair Labor Standards Act has this language, it's still permissive. It says that they may be exempt. So the employer has that choice. And this is what we're seeing is you've got employees in the same bargaining unit, working side by side at the same place, taking, dealing with a student and they need extra care. But because I'm a registered nurse and you're an LPN, you're getting it and I'm not. And
I don't
that's where
know
we're
the
at.
exact work of what it looks like at host, right? But I would say to that, if they're doing the same work during host, the LPN's not making the same pay as the RN. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
they're
but-
significantly far apart actually on the salary
But
schedule.
then you could say that for all the employees,
Sure,
right? I mean,
exactly.
So that's
That's
not-
just the counter. That's why some fall within exempt and some are non-exempt, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
With this new law and threshold going into effect, I think this is gonna be a bigger organizational thing that we have to explore. And, so we're gonna leave nurses as they are right now, but we're gonna explore that and see how many employees it impacts. Okay. All right, page 18. We
And
can,
then how about
sorry.
striking the para
Oh,
at the bottom?
yes, we are good with that. Dr. Patton caught that. I've missed that too.
Yeah.
I have, you guys get me from all sides. That's good. All right, page 18. This, of course, reflects the language that we had for clerical, so we are in agreement to TA that. Page 22, 9.3.3, we're good to TA that. Oh. We did. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. If you go to page, sorry. Yeah, so if you look, sorry, I missed this. On what I just said, we were gonna TA for the after completion of the work, the number of hours earned shall be recorded on an approved form. We want them to
Okay.
use the school board form.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so if we can use that one and then also put it into the next page, which is the same language.
No, I agree, that's.
Yeah, I think that would be
We don't want
helpful.
just some made up form, we have the school board forms for, and that was our
And we
intent,
had
was,
talked
I know
about
it was.
that.
and what we've been trying to also educate our folks on is use the school board form, it's there for a
Correct.
reason.
Yep, and then same thing under whatever the other one is.
Got
Yep.
it.
No, that's why you guys
And
are
we had talked
my
about
wingmen.
No, that's important, I
Would've been
think
codified.
we,
Yeah.
Wing
we want that to be the form, because
That
if
was
we
our
don't
whole
say it in the
point.
form, then we know what's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
gonna be A lot of different kinds of forms, and then we're gonna be right back here adding it in next year.
Right.
Correct. Okay, all right. We had already said, no, there. 18.2.2, we are good with TAing that. Okay. All right, page 48. We are okay with TAing the title change.
Okay.
But are not in a position to do the uniform shirt if it's in our organization, we provide those uniforms when it's mandatory. And I know every school does something different, like some do polos, some do t-shirts, like they all do different things. And I would hope that they're including their nurses in that.
Okay.
All right. All right, I went through all the grievance language and it
Okay.
did mirror everything,
Okay.
so I am good with
TA each
TA
page.
each page. Which one is that? 22.3.2?
It's in there.
Oh, eagle eye over here. She,
Did we
the
change
Kim
all the
self
other
herself,
ones?
you see it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
What page?
Good
It's right
catch.
there.
51,
Yeah.
in the middle of the
23.2.
grievance.
We had changed it last year to all
I
the,
think we did it in instructional, but
didn't get all the,
yeah.
all the
Okay.
themselves instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
himself
I
herself.
found- Yeah,
Mm.
well, we found some in the instructional, right?
Yeah.
It's still he and they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll keep catching them.
It'll be
Yeah.
for
It'll
2
take us
years,
20
but
years,
just
but we'll
as
get
we're
them all.
in that section. we can do it.
No.
Good intentions, at least we're trying to get. And then same thing with page 52. Page 53. Page 54. Page 55. And page 56. And then page 67, obviously for your agreement, you would take that out. Sorry, no, you take your turn. I'm not putting my initials yet. 'cause I
On
didn't put
page
them.
56, association is spelled, has the misspelling on
Oh, yeah.
22.11.3.
Got it. Be honest, I'm doing this late on a
Hey,
Saturday or Sunday.
Starting to see cross out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yes, so,
For eyes that are new to it.
Obviously,
it
yes,
doesn't-
because this is, yes, that should be taken out.
and I'll just, I know this has been a question because it kind of, I know these supplements for the elementary bookkeepers have been there. But by this bringing attention to it, we're thinking about our middle and high school bookkeepers. And, in the future, their eligibility for a supplement as well.
Well,
But this, we'll talk about.
And
in
do you know the
future, but
history
I
behind
do
it?
not, but that
Okay,
would
I
be
can share that
helpful.
real quick.
Yeah.
So in the elementary schools, the principal secretary, who's the secretary for, is also the bookkeeper.
Right,
So because they do that additional bookkeeper role, this is a principal secretary, based on the size of their school, gets an additional payment. Mhm.
And at
Because
the-
they're doing both. They don't have a bookkeeper.
and at the middle and high school,
They have a principal secretary and a bookkeeper.
yeah,
Mhm.
but they
They
would
don't-
probably get it because they're at a KA, right?
They don't get it because they do have a designated
Designated.
bookkeeper.
I see. Okay.
Because where the elementary schools do not have a bookkeeper, the principal secretary is doing the
Got it.
bookkeeping work. That's why they get it. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question.
And then I'm not 100% sure. I think we need to look chef culinarian. Is that one of yours? I don't know either. I'll verify that. I'm not sure if that's an SNS.
I mean, we can,
I feel like that's an SNS thing, but
Okay.
let me verify that. So
maybe
maybe,
in caucus,
yeah, I'll see what I can find out.
yeah.
It just jumped out at me right now.
No, that's fine. I think we were trying to, when we glanced at it, we were trying to take our folks and they have,
I'm not guaranteeing it, but I
Yeah.
believe it's SNS managers that have some additional.
okay. Well, it's not
something.
hurting anything by being there,
No,
but
no,
I gotcha.
not at all. All right. And then, we had spoken about the grievance form. Obviously, we had agreed in principle to it for instructional, so we are good with it for ESP.
Fix the date, I got that.
Yep, she got that. All right. Okay.
Did they get all of it?
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
So. We really, okay, now I'm looking at the actual economic agreement that you brought forward, okay? So we had a lot of discussion with this and we even have, spoken with our superintendent, with a lot of, we've consulted with a lot of people. And there is a thought that first off, we really like what you brought, like this shows, that you're really trying to collaborate with us and, you know,
Yeah.
come to an agreement, like we want to come to an agreement. And we appreciate that more than you even know. What would like to propose, because ultimately what you proposed is a step and a half for the year, ultimately, right? So it's a step for the beginning of the year, then the next one for this half of the year. We were talking, and when we look at the salary schedules, when we look at instructional, we moved that one a little bit. When we look at student services, we moved that one a little bit.
Mhm.
So we are proposing that instead of doing it the way that you propose, that we do the step and a half on the salary schedule.
Okay.
And what we mean by that is wherever the step is now, whatever the cost of a step and a half would be the next step, right? So that step and a half would actually be recurring money on the salary schedule.
Right.
And it would start on day one when we do the salary increases.
Okay.
And the other reason we really think it would be good is because everybody would be getting at least the 2%. Because doing that step and a half, even in the part of the salary schedule that's still gonna be 1.5%, everybody that's moving from the current $15 to the new 15.2 would be making over 2%. So we are proposing that we actually adjust the salary schedules to be the step and a half,
I see.
okay?
Which comes out to actually, so, correct me if I'm wrong, so if
Mhm.
you're on your step and you move, under,
Mhm.
which we'll see, the schedule, how much would it be? 2.25%?
Should be 2.25.
2.25%.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so it'd actually be. Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, so let's go through this and
Yeah,
then,
and then we'll
so,
look
and then
at
we
the-
can kind of wrap our head around that
Got it.
idea, okay? All right, so number one, effective July 1st, 2024, eligible employees in the ESP bargaining unit shall advance. It's one level, but that one level is equivalent to a step and a
Yeah,
half.
and we could add, like we did in the instructional agreement, that the new salary schedule, if, once we look at it.
Right,
look at
instead
it
of the
with
plus
team-
500, it would be plus blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, okay, we'll look at it, hopefully you have a copy of it,
I know, sorry.
all right.
Very eloquent of me, right?
So
Yeah,
What I'm trying to
really.
say is that what we did on the instructional agreement, the number one is effective July 1, all instructional salary schedules agreed upon. So we would say, we could add a number one that says effective July 1, 2024, all instructional support or the instructional support salary schedule agreed upon shall be updated
Mhm.
once we look at it.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
can add a number one there based
Yeah.
on if we're changing the schedule.
Number two would therefore be struck
Mhm.
because that would be incorporated in number one. Number three, effective July 1, eligible ESP at the top of their respective pay grade shall receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000 as a supplement to employee base pay, period.
Or we need that to be an additional, do we need to use that same language?
To receive a one-time additional payment, yep,
So rather than as a
additional top step payment or additional payment,
Because I think what we're saying,
yep,
they can receive a one-time top step payment of $2,000 as an additional payment to employee-based pay.
yeah, that
Okay.
would work. And then period. So strike to be FRS pensionable. And the top step payment is,
Additional
All right.
payment. I'm just trying to do the same language. Payment. Okay,
and then this payment made no later than the end of the first semester, but like we mentioned before, we would want to do those during whenever we're able to do
Yeah.
the increases. So everything
Okay.
looks good there. Number four, all ESP employees shall receive a $2,500 one-time payment for the 24.
one-time
Additional payment.
Thank you. Got it. Okay, thank you. A one-time additional payment for the 24-25 school year. One payment of $1,500 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the first semester, and one payment of $1,000 shall be paid in the first paycheck of the second semester, should these pay dates looks good, and everything else looks good.
Okay,
Hey. Are we keeping those?
Yeah, we put that in all the
Oh,
others.
we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
All right. Number 5, eligible ESP employees shall advance 1 level on their respective salary schedule and be regraded 1 pay grade. Looks good. Registered nurses advance 1 step on their respective salary schedule and be regraded from pay grade 33 to pay grade 34. Number 7, LPNs regraded from advance 1 step and then regraded from pay grade 25 to pay grade 26. All looks good there. And then number 8 and 9, just changing it to instructional support.
all right. Do you have a salary schedule that we could look at or make a copy of? Or we could send it or,
Okay. Yes,
okay?
but like, when you do things behind the scenes, like this hasn't been audited, like this has
Okay,
been done really quickly.
okay,
So, yes. So I'll
okay.
give that to you. And
But I
again,
think what
just
we're
putting
gonna-
like the asterisks, like kind of seeing that this still
Yeah,
has to
just
go
like-
through.
Just like we did for the instructional, like because we have to actually TA. Oh, yeah, we have to be able to actually TA some salary schedule that we're gonna
Agreed,
be. for
agreed.
that
So,
season.
agreed.
Or put it in the language that we understand, so.
Correct. But this gives you conceptually what it would be as far as the 1.5 step, and you can, and remember that when you look at where someone currently is, you have to look at the current
Yes.
salary schedule and look at where they would move to the new salary schedule to see
Which
what
would
the
be
percent would be
A 2.25% raise rather than 1.5 and then
for those at this part of the
half
schedule.
of 1.5 later. You're just getting all of that at once.
Correct,
Got it.
correct. And then down at the bottom, we know that it's 2%.
Yep,
So then 1.5 would
Yeah.
be,
greater.
greater.
All right, I guess we will caucus.
Okay.
Review.
Understood.
All right, thank you. All right, so we had a good discussion. Took us some time to kind of, merge the 2 concepts together because I think we're both trying to get the same exact goal, just in a little different way, right?
Mhm.
And I just want to say that I think that, we've maintained from the beginning this goal of putting money into base salaries and continuing to move that bar. And while we were open to doing the 2 steps, we appreciate that the board was listening and said, all right, we know we need to put money into the base. Now, we all agree it's not enough, because another issue that we've been very loud and clear about is equalized pay. And we have a lot of employees that are under that $17.14 threshold. 60% of the bargaining unit is in that zone. But with that said, I think that goal of continuing to move is the goal. So, what we're gonna say is that in the economic agreement that we will add that language about accepting a new salary schedule. And we will accept the board's counter on this salary schedule.
That's good.
With the caveat
We're
of,
ready.
step 1, we really want in the future to look at raising from 15. We
Okay.
don't want 15 to be that starting, right? We could get it up to 15 and something. Another question that we've been talking a lot about in our initial proposal, we had changed the numbers of the levels to letters. And I know we were just kind of briefly
Yeah.
talking. Can you explain why we can't?
We can.
The letters?
So it's step and grade, like when you put it in the computer, I know that sounds like a silly reason, but in the computer capabilities, it's a step and grade system. And the second, it has to be numerical. It's funny that the first part can be can be alphabetical. So
Okay.
it could be pay grade A, step 1, but the steps have to be numerical. We did explore that when you
Okay.
had brought it up.
But you were saying something interesting that we could change those, like how we start at pay grade 15. We could potentially renumber the levels.
We
to
could
be just
explore
a
that.
different- Okay, maybe now's not the year, but we can look at maybe a way of trying to number those, because again, our instructional scales are years of experience. That step should match your completed years of experience. The ESP scale is not traditionally been that because of the way this scale has changed over time. If you've gotten promoted, you may have
Right.
moved back, even though you've been in the district so many years. So, okay.
What's interesting about you saying that it's not, years of experience, which it isn't, it should be more aligned to years of experience moving forward because of us going level for level during promotions now. Where
Yeah.
before, you would have to do the 4%, 2%. So sometimes you would go back a couple
Yeah.
steps. So
Yeah,
I
for
think it's
new
something to
hires,
explore.
but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it,
Okay.
maybe some ways just to.
We
have to
did
be less
explore it and
confusing.
because I shared the desire to have that happen. And we do too. It's just that the system needs to have that second, in the step grade program, it has to be numerical for the second part.
So we will TA the salary schedule. One thing that we did want to address on the economic agreement was for the job codes for the ESP, ESPs that will be regraded.
Yeah.
We wanted to see if we could add in the hearing technicians, job code 50860. We're on pay grade 21, would be regraded to pay grade 22. I believe we just maybe. It was
I think
one
we
that
just left them off. Yeah, that.
And I will say, in this working on these ESC payments for instructional, what we've done here, you and the district have been very good at working with us when we missed one, or there's one that fits this category. So I appreciate that.
And I think we did run into that last year and hearing technicians should be included.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so I think that's everything. Is there anything that I'm
No, I think,
missing? I think we just have to we'll clean this up, sign it.
clean it up, sign it,
And we'll
and then
TA.
us go through, the two of us go through and TA everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Without everybody having to sit and wait for that.
Yeah, I
But
think if we
no,
still
I-
do that and we TA the salary schedules with the star of, wait,
That would be
settle
amazing.
on audit, the hourly.
And I just want to say on behalf of our team as well, like, we recognize what you came with today, trying to work with us. And I think it was a perfect, we came together and it really is what bargaining is supposed to be. And that's why we've been successful. And to come to an agreement in June
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that is because of all the work of everybody in this room. So I just want to say thank you to that.
Yeah, thank you. And I will also note that we turned this around really quickly.
Yeah.
Think about our settlement for 23-24 was October, November. And we started talking about this getting to the table in May,
Correct.
and now we'll be back on a cycle.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. So,
Nick, can you go over, I know you had put it on the agenda, your timeline as far as ratification or proposed ratification?
yeah, so what we discussed is we could probably put this out for ratification by Monday. Sherry, is that what we're thinking? If we get this all scanned and ready to go, we could open it up Monday.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we usually run it for 2 weeks. So if we opened it up Monday, which would be the 1st, we could probably have it closed by the 12th. Would that be right? So July 12th? No,
We do
so,
10 days, right?
if we did 10 days and we'd have it done by the 10th. So if we open it 1, 2, 3, the 10th, that would be 10 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, I just realized why I'm counting the
Hey,
numbers. up.
it's 5:25.
yeah,
So-
Y'all have done a
we
lot
could-
of work between
Yeah.
Thursday and today.
okay, which would work well because if that is able to be done,
Mhm.
then the board agenda item would be released to the public on July 16th in advance of the July 23rd board meeting.
Okay.
So
So
that
even
would
if
be
you've
amazing.
got a little bit of wiggle room for your board agenda notice at the 16th.
Correct,
so
correct.
It takes us an extra day or two to get it out. Okay, perfect.
Well, and I would still prepare I'll
Yeah, yeah,
prepare all the documents
Yes,
and then, obviously if something,
Yeah, and we'll do like we did before. We'll look at all these documents, scan them and put it out there so people can see the actual TAs and then how it would actually look in the contract,
okay,
the salary schedule, all of that.
okay.
I just want to say that it's amazing that we're getting this done now. I mean, I've been talking about it, I'll use that verb, talking about it at the school board meeting forever, that I believe that we could get to the table and make an agreement before our employees come back. And really, it's a collaboration of everybody here in this room to make that happen. But let this be the year that we start making this happen annually. there's really no reason why we couldn't have this discussion and get to it, so that way our employees are prepared and know what they're making when they come in. We believe that in itself makes us a district that people can rely on and can trust the board to say, hey, that's where I want to go and teach. And beyond that, the agreement that we've made, we feel is really in our employees' best interest in a lot of ways. And we've seen things that we've never seen before here. So we thank you and the board and the superintendent for that. And we're proud of this agreement, and we're looking forward to making it happen. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, bargaining team.
We will conclude and you and I will.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Take a picture?
Yes.